and fellow colleagues. Routine work life. We have been, all of us will take the lessons we have. Staff, I would like to attend the director, and to each and every workshop a success. We look forward.
It is great to know that you have motivation and with drive,
Such as this one in years to come. See you in the next workshop. Thank you.
Chief Registrar and the Director for Legal Aid Commission, and all of you who are here in this room. I'd like to probably focus on a couple of things, very importantly. As your Director highlighted, is that you are the largest, actually, what I call the legal law firm in the country. The fact that you have approximately 90 support staff that are here, then plus you have your lawyers that are within the organization. No other organization that has a legal basis to it actually is this large in Fiji, including any of the large law firms, private law firms, even the SG's chambers or AG's chambers. So you are quite unique. You're also very unique in the sense that your director feels that the non-legal staff should also have the same type of exposure and training, and indeed come to a location like Intercontinental Natadola to have your 2-day workshop. I can assure you, no other organization does do that also. Now, there are, of course, a number of opportunities that you do have, as has been highlighted. I'm sure over the past couple of days you've spoken about that. You've made a new foray. You've gone into the area of providing services online now, and again, no other organization actually provides that type of service online in the same sense. We of course now have a Digital Fiji platform where government services are now available on a number of areas, and more soon will be available in that respect also. But you of course are quite unique in that. These two things that I pick up on, one is that the fact that you are very large comparatively means that you always need to be self-reflective. You can bathe in your own glory, but those organizations, or those countries, those economies, those institutions that tend to bathe in their own glory for a period of time can actually become quite hollow inside if you do not become self-reflective. You have to ensure that you continuously maintain high levels of integrity. And integrity involves ensuring that you actually deliver your service with integrity. Even within your own organization, you treat each other with dignity and integrity, and also become self-reflective in the sense, if one of you actually goes off the rails, you feel and you believe and you actually will take action against them or report them. It is very important. We have seen many organizations, their books have been written on this, but I myself, in my personal experience in the past number of years, have seen where organizations or people who are delivering service, when they try and cover each other's backs, that's when that organization or that department or that ministry becomes quite hollow, and it no longer becomes relevant in terms of delivery of service. Yesterday I was at the Parside Parade for approximately 240 police officers. These are predominantly police officers who are what we call special constables. Special constables in Fiji used to get paid $5,000–6,000 a year. $5,000–6,000 a year. And we expect them to provide the right type of service. And obviously that's quite ironic, because you can't do that in the modern day and age. Members of the public can be the first ones to complain if a police officer or policewoman does not do their job properly. Now, if you're going to pay them $5,000 or $6,000 a year, obviously the type of service you expect in the private sector will be very minimal. So the government has carried out a $125 million restructure of the Fijian police force, which means regularizing all special constables to become full-time constables. Their salaries are $16,000 to $18,000 now. It's a significant shift. But the reason I'm raising about the special constables is I mentioned to them also yesterday that living or being an officer with integrity means that if somebody wants to give you a bribe, you have the ability to stand up and actually tell them you're not going to take the bribe, but take the next step and actually charge them for the offense of trying to bribe somebody. If you know that your fellow police officer may be taking a bribe, your fellow police officer may be doing something that's not expected of them professionally, they need to be able to have the guts, the gumption, the professionalism to be able to stand up against that. All of you are here for the past 2 days, and you of course develop relationships, your friends, your work colleagues. If tomorrow one of you takes a bribe, the person next to you, will they have the integrity to actually stand up and go and report that person, even though you may be the best of mates? That's the real test for your organization. That's what I mean by having integrity within your own system. You have to maintain your standard of professionalism at all times. Organizations that don't do that actually will become hollow after a time. That's number one. Number two is your ability to ensure that you're always beholden to the values and principles and indeed the mandate of your organization. That's critically important. You play a very pivotal role in providing services, in particular to those people who cannot necessarily afford those services. In the same way that you want to be treated with dignity and respect, we expect that you will treat those people who are walking through your doors with dignity and respect. Many times I've seen in Fiji that just because somebody does not drive a Prado, catches the bus, may not be able to speak English properly, or is poor, or not well connected, people don't treat them well. Please don't do that. The whole rationale, the raison d'être for your organization is that you're here to serve them. And if you start losing that focus, then you should not actually exist as an organization. You should not be working in that organization. That's the purpose of your entire being as an organization. Please don't lose track of that. And that is critically important for you to understand. You, of course, are the most widespread organization in terms of your network of offices is strewn across the Pacific, across Fiji, sorry. And this is one of the reasons why government now is actually allocating over $5 million a year to this organization. I remember only a few years ago, legal aid used to get about a couple of $100,000. Today, getting in excess of $5 million. And we continue to support that. You are in fact part of the constitutional provisions of the Fijian Constitution. We legally have to fund you. We legally have to provide the services to all the Fijian people. So I just wanted to highlight those two key important issues. And linked to that, of course, is your ability to understand your customer base. I may have mentioned this to you some time back that, today the Fijian population, 70% of the population is below the age of 40. 70%. And if you take those below the age of 50, I think it comes up to about 80 or 85%. We're a very young population. People know about services. Those of you who go to McDonald's, or those of you who go to other restaurants now that have popped up throughout Fiji, look at the way they provide services. Good morning, sir. How are you, sir? What would you like, sir, or madam? Young people expect those services. You need to be customer focused. I've said this to the civil servants too. A lot of people think that then when they have the ability to make a decision, they are somehow the other more powerful than the other person. But don't forget, the reason why you have the ability to make the decision is that is the reason why you're being funded. So if somebody comes along and wants their will made, who has been told to that you should make a will, they don't know, first of all, some of them don't even know the meaning of the word will. So many people have said to me, oh, my father has made the will, and I should get the house now. I said, is your father dead? No. They don't even understand the will only comes into effect after the person making the will actually dies. So don't lose your patience with them. Please provide that service to them, because they are the people who actually are your customers. They are the people who give you feedback. Of course, now with the launch of your IT system now, people can track the work that you're doing. People know what you're doing. And that is great. Transparency is a fantastic thing. A lot of people feel threatened by transparency. Please don't feel threatened by transparency. Yes, of course, if you're doing something untoward, if you're doing something illegal, if you're doing something that you should not be doing, you'll feel threatened by that. There are so many times that people have asked me for things, and I have simply just explained to them why it cannot happen, and they've accepted it. I also want to give you another suggestion. I don't know how many of you do use it. Assuming that Polyasi Dama walks into your office, and he says XYZ, I want this, and you have to respond to them. Next time, just try calling him Mr. Dama. Ram Prasad walks in through the door. He may say to you, boss, can you do this for me? You turn around and say to him, well, Mr. Prasad, this is what can happen. You watch the look on the person's face, and you look and you look and you see the change in the level of engagement, because you call somebody a Mr. or Ms. when they least expect it. And really you should be doing that, because they are your customer, they are your client. Try that. I know many of you don't do that. Many of you don't call your clients who walk in through the door Ms. or Mr. Try doing that. It'll help your relationship. They'll respect you more because you've shown them respect. They'll feel that most of these people who walk in through the doors feel that somehow or the other they've been marginalized by society, and they indeed may have been. But if you give them that level of respect and talk to them in that fashion, and put them up on a pedestal, they'll feel good. They may walk in through the door having very high expectations. You may legally point out to them, or from a customer perspective point out to them, it cannot happen. But because you've spoken to them in that manner, they will leave your premises not feeling necessarily bad. In the same way, when you go somewhere, when you go to check into a flight, when you go into a shop, wherever you go, when you demand services yourself, if people treat you well, if people call you, Ms. Prasad, Ms. Sulaweti, whatever the case is, you'll feel good about it. And you walk out feeling good. So please understand that. I want to also very quickly highlight that there is a number of course, matters that we are, a number of initiatives we are rolling out through Digital Fiji. As you know that we have now a re-registration of, or digital registration we like to call it, some people call it re-registration, of all the businesses, business names and limited liability companies throughout Fiji. There's something like 145,000 businesses. So Siteri's Canteen to Ram Karan's Kava, or whatever business name, there's about 148,000 of those. They all now have to digitally re-register. Because once we get the digital registration of them, then once all of this is done, we can do company searches online. So even Tapu's Limited will have to go and re-register. And there's 6 months for that. And the time commences on the 15th of Jan. 6 months for them to do that, limited liability companies, and business names have 9 months to do that. There'll be massive road shows, people can go to the BDM offices and be able to register their businesses. Some may of course come to your organization for queries, or may want to get some certification of documents done. Please understand that. Please help them out too. There are a number of other initiatives that are being launched. Please always situate yourself in the overall what is happening within Fiji itself. A number of new initiatives are taking place. One of the other ones that will also make your life easier too is that we hope to, by October of this year, start what we call FINIC. FINIC is the acronym for Fiji National Identification Card. So every Fijian will have a unique identification card. You'll have your own card, your photograph, your address details, and biometrics of all your 10 fingers, your irises, and a photograph of your face. And really what will happen is that's the only card number that you should know. At the back end of it, your FNPF will be linked to that, your TIN number will be linked to that, your driver's license will be linked to that. It makes life a lot easier. It will also help you in your own work, day-to-day work, where you will, once people come through, when you have to do those assessments, you can very easily check people's details. So we hope to, within 1 year, register approximately 630,000 Fijians. It'll be a nationwide registration. Most modern-day countries do that. It will be linked eventually to your passport details, all of that, which will make life a lot easier for everybody. We'll be able to share data. We'll be able to know where to provide actual services. What are the areas perhaps that are low-income areas that we can go and provide more services. If there is a cyclone, we know exactly who's getting assistance. So please always try and read, as I've said, just a personal advice, as I've said to all the civil servants also, try and read whatever area you're in. Just because you're a PA or secretary or a driver, whatever it is, try and know more about it. Try and know more about the job, try and know more about what is happening in the country, more about what is happening in your organization. Because once you get that knowledge, it helps you better understand what is happening, not just within your organization, but within your own country, and you'll be able to provide better services. So ladies and gentlemen, with those few words, I'd like to thank you all for your dedication and your work within Legal Aid itself. Of course, we'd like to thank the director and his senior management team and the board represented here by the CR. Please, and also think about your jobs as a career path. I've seen many people who have, for example, in countries like Australia in particular, where I've had a bit more experience, people who work in their organizations, in legal aid and various other organizations, they may not be lawyers, but they're very highly regarded as administrators. They're very highly regarded people as in terms of clerical areas. And people do actually seek their expertise and their skill sets. So don't ever think that what you're doing, as your director has said, is something very minuscule. That it's not important. It is very important. All of us are like clogs in a wheel. If one of the clogs goes out, the wheel cannot work. Like the spokes in a bicycle. All the spokes actually do matter. Without one spoke, the wheel cannot work. So thank you very much once again for your hard work and dedication. And I'm sure the workshop has been quite useful. And I, of course, look forward to talking to many of you later this afternoon. Vinaka, thank you very much.
Slowly and loudly. Bolivia Registry of Assessment Workers.
One, two, three.